Welcome everyone to the show today. I'm Jeff and I'm here with Justin. We're going to talk about some crazy things that's been in the news this week. But first, Justin, how's your day been?
Oh, it hasn't been too bad, man. Just got off work, 12 hours of fun.
Oof, man. All right, 12 hours. Could be worse. Could be
It
worse.
could be a lot worse.
I was off today and finally went to a restaurant with the
Oh,
kids.
wow.
It's been more than a year and a half. My youngest had never been out to a restaurant before. So
Wow.
But I called ahead and I said, "Hey, we want to come to your restaurant. Are we going to be asked to leave if we don't wear face cloths?" And they said, "Well, no." so, so we were able to go. I think we live in California, and I don't think any of the guidelines have actually changed, but I think they're having to start ignoring them because
hmm
this was like a big chain restaurant that we went to. I don't want to say their name, don't want to get them in trouble,
Right.
but it was almost a ghost town. And we were one of only a couple families there, and this is at lunchtime on a Saturday. We used to go here in the old days, and it was packed all the time. So, yeah,
That's
they're
insane.
they're probably struggling.
I
So,
mean, when people say a new normal, we're there.
yeah, yeah.
And it's sad, to be honest with you. Because I mean, like you said, like this is your first time. Your youngest has been able to go out to a restaurant, something that's was a pretty basic thing for a long time, and
Yeah.
now it's almost something to celebrate because you got to go out,
Yeah,
especially somewhere like California. I'm sorry, man.
me too. But yeah, I don't think they say a new normal, but I don't think it can be a new normal because something that's normal has to be sustainable, and this
hmm
isn't sustainable.
That's a good point. No, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, there's no way it's sustainable from an economic standpoint to an individual standpoint. It's there's a reason why when you lock somebody up in a cage 23 hours a day, 9 times out of 10, they go bonkers.
Yeah,
And it's not much different when you lock everybody down in their home. That's yeah, like what they've got going on in Australia.
ooh,
Shut down the entire country, and
yeah,
you're right back to what was happening, at the very beginning of COVID, but they're doing it now for the Delta variant, which is actually, yes, if you go by the numbers, it's more transmissible,
mhm.
but it's less deadly.
Yeah, which
And
is what you'd expect a virus to do over time, a
right,
respiratory virus like this. It would still have been wrong at the beginning, but at
right,
least it would
agreed.
have made sense because nobody quite knew what was going on. But
Yeah,
now they do know, and they're still doing it.
yeah.
I mean, you've seen some of the videos that have come out of there. It's horrible. Children getting ripped out of their parents' arms and forced to
Oh
be
my
injected.
goodness. I saw that today while I was at work. I would have gone full blown Denzel Washington. Everybody's got to go.
Yeah,
Everybody. I'm like, you take my kid away from me because of what is essentially a flu like illness. We're not talking about bubonic plague. We're not talking about Ebola. We're not talking about spreading, starting smallpox all over again, which I know it's not possible with vaccines, which are great. It's awesome. But it's so hard to compute
yeah,
because when you look at the actual numbers, and especially in places like the United States, the deaths, which tragic. It's never a good thing when a family member, community member, whatever passes away.
no, no,
But uh, the way that this whole thing has been presented from day one, I hate to say it, but it's been nothing but fear porn. And like you said, you have a restaurant that you went to, and they're not really strictly enforcing everything, and they still can't fill up the place.
mm-hmm,
And it's
mm-hmm.
because everybody's so scared to walk out of their house.
Yeah, and it's because people don't focus on the actual numbers. Like the CDC is not even collecting the data for breakthrough cases and people who are vaccinated still get the infection. They're not even tracking that.
And
They just
that
want everyone to get vaccinated. They
right.
don't really care how well it works at this point because that's the narrative, and it's
Especially
really
when you
crazy.
look at the things that have come out from like the FDA, especially the example with they're trying to approve the Pfizer vaccine, and it's like, well, first of all, what's the point? You guys have already stabbed how many millions of people with this thing, and I mean, the cat's out of the bag. It's either gonna work and do great things, or it's not. And we've seen that it's really doesn't do all that they say it does.
Yeah,
It
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 seems like it makes the infection not as bad, which if you're at risk for dying, like if you're 60, 70 plus and have diabetes and are obese, that's great.
yeah,
But if you're not, there's no point. It doesn't stop you from spreading it to other people, doesn't stop you from getting it.
yep.
There's no
You,
point. And there's the risk of side effects, which they like to downplay, but it's still there, as with any medical procedure.
yeah. And I've heard of some of these side effects from people that I know on a personal level, and these are people that I trust. This isn't somebody that's um, barking that Biden is the worst thing ever, or that we're 100%, MAGA country, which either way, you look at it, at one point, nobody trusted it because Trump was in office, and now it's like, it's
Yeah.
not going to work because Biden's in office. It's the same vaccine,
Yeah,
people.
it's so political. It's ridiculous.
Right. But that these people have told me, they've gotten the vaccine. They did their due diligence. They wanted to do their
For
part
the
for the
greater good.
community, right? And they come back saying, "I haven't felt right since I got the second shot."
Mm.
And it's somebody like myself. I try to go to the gym 3 or 4 times a day. I take a multivitamin. I drink water. I should be drinking a lot more. Um, but I don't drink soda all the time, trying to cut back a little bit on the bourbons. But why would I go and get myself jabbed when I'm already in a healthier position to deal with COVID than what, 60-70% of the US population, just based on obesity rates and other underlying illnesses?
Yeah, which is why it really doesn't make sense with them trying to mandate it or having vaccine passports, we've talked about before. But especially since so few people are actually at risk of getting really sick and dying, but also since as time goes on, as anyone who knows anything about these viruses knows, the virus is changing. And so the vaccine is becoming less and less effective.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're going to have to do regular booster shots.
Yeah.
And again, trying to chase an immunity that they're never going to get.
And uh, they say that we need to everybody should do their part, get the vaccine to stop the spread. At the same time, you have guys like Cuomo, who's out on vacation right now after he just got outed, not for the fact that he killed thousands of people in New York with his nursing home
Fiasco.
basically. That's really the best way. I was going to say policy, but fiasco is the right word. With his nursing home fiasco, that guy on vacation, like probably sitting next to a pool or something right now. Like, how, if stopping the spread, if saving all the people is so important, why is this man not in two pieces with a guillotine in the middle? And I hate to say it that way, but holy cow.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
it's ridiculous.
And a lot of it comes down to what you said earlier about how political they've made all this.
Yeah. Yeah, and they try to say when the other side says we're not going to get, they say, oh, you're making this political. You need to stop making this political. But it's been politicized from the very beginning by both sides.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So,
and then you have us peons in the middle trying to go, hey, none of you guys are making sense.
yeah,
Let's go back to some sense of reality.
that would be nice. That would be nice. And some of the clear heads are saying that it's going to have to happen eventually, one way or another, for the same reason we were talking about before. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to exclude a considerable, like what, a third at least of the country hasn't gotten the injections. And you can't just decide you're going to exclude a third part of society from society without some really bad stuff happening.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
one way or another, it can't go on.
If they want to do that, but let us like secede from the rest of the country,
Yeah,
I'm down. I'll
that
move.
would be nice.
You know, you guys can keep your jab. I'll go live. At this point, I don't even care, man. It could be the outskirts, all of Nevada that nobody goes to. Let me go there. I'll go there, and everybody else can just go do their own thing.
Yeah, just leave us alone. We'll leave you alone. That'd be fine. Well,
one thing that, and another thing, I was reading the story that you had sent me earlier with about the FDA. Something that kind of stood out to me was usually they do like 2 years worth of testing trials. Okay. When it comes to getting approval from the FDA for a new drug. Jeff, when did COVID start? We're talking November 2019 was
not
kind
even
of
2 years ago. Yeah.
Right. And how long have they been pushing out this vaccine? Over a year, I'd say.
At least the beginning of this year. I think it was when they really started to push hard.
Basically, what they did was they gave placebos to some people, and then after that said, we're done. We're done testing. No controlled groups, nothing. So what was actually tested? And then the fact that you're hiding all the background stuff, well, not background stuff, all the stuff that's going on behind closed doors, all those conversations, none of that's recorded, none of that's going to public. But you're going to enforce that this vaccine get pushed on certain people. And it's already getting done in places like New York City and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say that they haven't mandated the vaccine, but if you want to be able to grocery shop.
Yeah, they essentially have. And it can't, especially since healthcare workers, a lot of them are refusing to get it. I know I've worked in healthcare and I'm not going to get it. And unless I can get some kind of exemption, then I'm going to be out of a job, which is bad for me, yes. But my position with dietitians at our hospital, we're supposed to have 4. We have 2. So if I leave, there's a shortage, and it's gonna keep getting worse, especially if they expect more hospital beds to keep filling up because scary variants. So
I'm just there's going to be a Zulu variant and everything else, 6 months to a year from now, and it's just going to be a new reason that everybody's got to go get one of the 3 vaccines: Pfizer, Moderna,
Johnson & Johnson.
Johnson & Johnson. I couldn't remember which is.
Yeah.
Just personally, I'm not getting the jab, but if I'm over there, I'm sitting there thinking, if I'm about to get stuck and somebody says, "You want this Johnson & Johnson vaccine?" I'm like, what? Y'all about to stick me with some baby lotion?
Yeah. And there's lots of different reasons to not get it. I mean, there's just looking at the risks and benefits and saying, no, it's not for me. It's religious reasons, political reasons. People feel that way. That's legitimate. You can't say
right.
You can disagree with someone's reason to not get it, but you can't say your decision about your health is not legitimate. That's tyranny.
You're throwing basic, like if somebody cannot decide what I'm going to put in or out of my body, you're owned by the government. It's no different than somebody that's in the armed services. I mean, I got the smallpox vaccine. I got the peanut butter shot. I got all that stuff when I was in.
What the heck is the peanut butter shot?
Oh man, I can't remember what it's actually for. Is that the smallpox one? They call it the peanut butter shot is because when you get shot, it's in the butt cheek, and it's basically the consistency of peanut butter under your skin.
Is that rabies?
No, it's not rabies.
Tetanus?
No, because I've had several tetanus shots. No, it's something for like guys that are deployed overseas.
Anthrax. Yeah, the
Maybe,
anthrax vaccine.
maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
I probably should have asked before they stuck me with 6 needles. But yeah,
They
that's
probably
one
wouldn't have
that
told you.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. This is it's saline,
It's required.
right? Uh, what everybody has to. You're basically seeing 50 guys all sitting on one cheek because the other one's sore because it feels like somebody came up and just frogged you.
Oh,
It's not fun. But
no.
yeah, back to what I was saying, you're owned by the military. When you sign that paperwork, your body is their property. And that's why they can stick you with all that stuff. And it's if you don't want it, okay, you're out. And that's almost to point where we're at with civilians now.
Yeah, except there is no out. It's just life.
Right. Right. It's
Uh,
either you get the jab or you get
yeah,
a scarlet letter.
that's why it's not sustainable. There's got to be a breaking point because there's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, don't want it
Mm-hmm.
and won't get it,
Right.
and it's not gonna be pretty. The more people try to force it, hopefully they'll just realize that wow, this isn't sustainable, and we've got to stop. We got to try something else. But if they don't, things could get really ugly.
I feel like we would be so much better off if they would just come out and say, "Look, we don't know everything that's going on. This crap's changing from a day to day." I actually saw a piece today where people that got the vaccine could be, it could actually be worse off for them if they caught the Delta variant of COVID.
Ooh,
Right. And
maybe.
so the thing is like, what do you believe? What
Yeah.
do you believe? Because everybody's lying to you.
Yeah, and that's the fact that has spurred so much of the conspiracy theories, ones that have later been proven to be true and ones that might be completely made up, because they've made it clear that you can't trust the trusted sources, the CDC and the FDA and all of the government organizations, because they have been lying from the beginning, even if it was just about how much information they did or did not have. And like you said, if they had come clear from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know so much, this is what we think is the best option, we recommend this,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe a lot more people would have chosen to get the vaccine, chosen to wear the face cloths. But I mean, you see in Sweden, they never had mandates
Mm-hmm.
for the masks. They never had lockdowns. Only about half the population is vaccinated, mostly old people.
Right.
And they don't have any COVID deaths.
Right.
None at all. Been that way for
Which
about a couple
is
weeks.
insane. It's insane. I mean,
But
it's great. It's great, but we're we're so far off from common sense right now
yeah,
that you hear about something like that that's going on in Sweden, you're like, oh, it's a miracle. It's like, no, they're using their noggin.
yeah. That's what would have happened. That's what did happen every other time a new virus came around previous to this.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened that is happening in Sweden. But people just believe the propaganda that's being put out so much that they just can't comprehend that someone could not do any of that
Mm-hmm.
and be just fine. So
You
their brain just kind of shuts down. Nope, that rejected error.
Yeah. Do you remember when Ebola happened
I kind of.
and actually made it to the States? It made it to the States. And I think it was in prominently Florida. Um, I'm trying to think of that situation in today's world.
Oh man.
We would have nuked Florida. I mean,
Um,
we would have gone to the most extreme.
probably barricade the border.
Right. They would build a wall on the Florida border, Florida
Mm,
Georgia border. That
yeah,
oh man.
made Florida pay for it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Well, that's one big thing that's been going in the news, and that's been crazy. But the other big thing, of course, is Afghanistan and the 20-year war over there. And that's I think you've been following that more closely than I have. I mean, all of this went down, and I was like, whoa, I I better learn something about that. And I'd had Scott Horton's Enough already
Oh yeah.
lying around about a week before everything started to go down. And I was like, whoa, I better put that at the top of my reading list now, figure out what's this all about.
I used to be a lot more knowledgeable on the Middle East, admittedly, and like even into the history of it, like the Mujahideen, arming the Taliban, or creating Al Qaeda to fight the Soviets, the proxy war, all that stuff. Um, but man, I look at Afghanistan right now and what's happening, and it's hard not to see those videos of the people risking everything to try to get out of that country. I mean, I I I I don't think we should be over there. I think that we have done nothing but, or we've done ultimately more harm than good in every way, shape, or form. You know, don't get me wrong. Sometimes, like when we went in after Saddam, it was quick. It was quick. We took him out in a relatively short period of time, and everybody was shocked at how quick we were able to do it. But what people don't realize is what happened immediately after that. And it's that we left a lot of arms and stuff over there and ended up basically creating ISIS. The only thing we didn't give them is people.
Mm. But they already had that, it seems, because it's been, I mean, America has been meddling around over there like, at least 20 years before the 2001 attacks and all of that, and doing a lot of killing. And the more they get involved over there, the more they want to get rid of the invaders
Mhm.
who are trying to conquer them.
We've
And
actually, I'm trying to remember the, I think it was Thomas Jefferson that had to, he basically ended up creating the Marines, and it was to fight the Barbary pirates, which I'm trying to remember if that's the Middle East or Africa, but it's still in that
it's that
vicinity of the world.
area. Yeah.
Right. We have been messing around over there for quite a while. Now, the difference in between what we used to do, where basically they created a branch to deal with the pirates that were attacking trade ships. We would take them out, and that was it. There was no nation building. There was none of that. That's completely different from what we've been doing the past, I'd say, 60 years or so. And to be honest with you, a lot of the issues that stem from the Middle East, a lot of the reasons why they hate the West so much, and it's not just America. Like, there's a lot of facts that people don't know about. Like, ISIS, when they were prominent and they were doing their big propaganda machine, they would talk about something called the Sykes-Picot lines. And it was, I believe, a British general and a French general that had gone in and had won a war or something. Where they were over there messing with stuff, and they basically rewrote the entire map of the Middle East.
Mm.
That's where you get like the country of Afghanistan, Iraq, blah 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 blah. That was basically written by the West, and it's like no wonder they hate us so much. It's because we're always meddling in their backyard. Now, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. We are talking about some people that are damn near animals,
Yeah,
and
they're not nice people. No.
I'm not saying
And not
that about
yeah,
all the
not
Muslims
everyone.
over there. Right.
No.
You have, just like you have extremists like you do anywhere. They just happen to have a lot over there.
Seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
But then, I mean, how long have other nations been meddling over there,
correct.
creating extremists? It's been at least, I mean, it's been before World War One. I read you read Lawrence of Arabia. He wrote five, I think, Pillars of Heaven, all about all the things that Britain was doing even before the first, maybe during, around the turn of the century, to just try to make things go the way they wanted to
Hmm.
over in the Middle East, just meddling in affairs that had nothing to do with them whatsoever. And yeah, if some other people who spoke some other language, had some different religion, came to where I live and started trying to tell me what to do and started conquering things and exacting taxes and sending soldiers out, yeah, I'd start to get really upset too.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Not
mean,
not saying that that justifies uh, killing anyone,
right.
it but it also doesn't justify being there in the first place. It's like this cycle where they decide to meddle over there and then they retaliate and then we can't let that stand. They're killing our people and then you send more people over there. That makes more extremists.
Hmm. They use
People,
our videos of like when Trump dropped the Moab.
mm,
They use those as propaganda videos to create more
yeah,
terrorists every single time.
and you have to wonder now that the situation, like people say, oh, did Biden do the right thing? Could it have been handled better? But I don't know. I don't think there could be a better way than just stopping
He
and getting
definitely could have handled it better.
it.
Look, I'm sorry. I completely agree. The man said, we need to get out of Afghanistan. Kudos to him. I'm with him there. Okay. But, but when you have a military over there that you're in a hostile environment and you have civilians, American civilians in place, common sense dictates that you probably take the guns out or the guys with the guns out last
That does make sense. Yeah.
and look, you're an American. Do you want to go home? Get in the truck
Mm.
because things might not be so good in a month or two.
Mm.
And I mean every single Afghani that helped in any way, shape, or form, translator, took out the trash, made the eggs. They want to
Yeah,
come over,
because
get
they're
them
all
here.
going to be targets
Yeah,
for people who hate America over there. Yeah.
correct. And why?
That's really
Because
cool.
we couldn't stay out of somebody else's backyard. And I think there's multiple reasons for that. I don't think it's necessarily just because we wanted to plant a flag in Afghanistan. I mean, let's be honest, it's a whole lot of sand.
Yeah,
So,
it's not a
well,
nice not a nice place.
right.
Yeah.
It's not like anybody's about to build a resort over there anytime soon. We're over there mainly oil, opiates. That and keeping the good old military industrial complex pumping.
Yeah.
And I hate the idea where people try to say we're over there for some kind of humanitarian mission. It's not.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not. Let's stop with the facade. We need to get out of everybody's backyard. There's no need for us to have 150 some odd bases around the freaking country.
Yeah.
It's bring the guys home, uh, but let's not be stupid about it. That's that,
Well,
like I can't. The way that this has been done, because at this point, the only way you're going to get those people home, you're going to have to send more troops.
yeah, and
You're
then
you're either going to
that
have to
starts.
you're going to have to say, sorry guys, you're screwed. Hope you get out of the country, or send troops to help get them out. And I'm
Yeah,
not saying you need to have a bunch. I don't know, man.
yeah, and then
It's
is that going to start it all over again? So,
right, right.
and
Is
then
that
you
gonna?
wonder, were they really that stupid, or was that part of the plan?
It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me one bit because I'm sorry, anybody in a suit in Congress is evil. I
Yeah.
the whole that whole situation over there, it's a real tragedy because like I was saying earlier, you're seeing these people that are climbing up on planes, and no, I don't think that they know or are aware that you can't breathe oxygen after 10,000 feet, but I'm pretty sure that they know they're going to have to hold on for a real long time. They're willing to risk that over staying in the ground on the ground.
Yeah.
That's how desperate these people are, and it's because they know what's coming. And it's sad because we've basically armed these guys, uh, and the things that they're going to do with American-made M4s, uh,
Mm.
AK-47s that we took and just left everywhere. You can go on YouTube and see videos of people that can just walk out and just grab an AK-47 off a shelf that's just sitting there for anybody, old man, kid, whatever. And it's because we're so I don't want to say inept, but we're ignorant in our thinking that because we're constantly told we're the greatest country ever, we always think that we can never make mistakes, and it's like mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And that's what's been our policy, our foreign policy in the Middle East.
Yeah, and then them saying, "Oh, we've got a duty to intervene here. It's in America's interest." They always use that word. It's United States interest to be over here. But I mean, if interest means to do something that might be beneficial for the United States, then there's no conceivable part of the world that isn't in the United States interest to control and have military forces there, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And everybody likes to joke when you tell them we don't need to be over there. You tell them we need to just bring the troops home. What about 9/11? You just want another plane to fly into an American building, and it's if the people were to sit down and to think of how many civilians have died over there in Afghanistan, in Iraq, everywhere else. Compare that to the numbers, to the what was it, 2,500 people that died on 9/11. National tragedy.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I mean,
I
it's been millions of civilians who have been killed over in the Middle East, right? By Yeah,
dwarfs. Why are those people less valuable, or not valuable? Less. Why are they not as important as us?
hmm
I'm sorry, their lives matter too.
yeah,
If all lives matter, that means everyone, whether they're wearing a burqa or a Nike baseball cap. Um, and what gets me about all of it is if you actually look into 9/11, and I'm not talking about the conspiracy theories of where Bush planned it and all this. It wasn't planes, it was missiles, none of that. If you looked into who funded all that, who I want to say the majority of the people, of the guys that flew the planes did come out of Afghanistan, but they were primarily funded by Saudi Arabia. We never touched them. We never touched them. We didn't even get so much as a slap on the wrist. So to say that us pulling out of Afghanistan is somehow going to create some kind of new 9/11, and that's the reason why we're over, no, it's not. It's
no,
not, because if it really was, we would have turned Saudi Arabia into a glass factory a long time ago.
yeah. I mean, if anything, staying over there is going to create more 9/11s because
Yes.
from what I'm reading, what was it that radicalized the people who did the 9/11 attacks? It was Desert Storm and all the
Mhm.
destruction that the United States did over there before. Oh, our families are getting killed. These crazy people from across the globe are coming to take over our land. I don't have anything else to do. I'm going to do
Right.
something about it.
Right. And unfortunately, when it comes to people that are in the kind of plight, or the kind of situation that they are in the Middle East, with the poverty, different religious sects, the wars going on there, all that different kind of stuff. It takes one person to come along with some extreme idea and some gusto, and everybody's like, "Yeah, I'm with you. Whatever you want to do."
They're also desperate anyway, and especially if they can easily point or be directed to one entity that's causing all of that trouble, and it's pretty easy to believe,
Yep.
then yeah, it's a recipe for disaster, and it keeps going on and on. It's a vicious cycle of death and destruction.
Yeah.
And the only
And
way to end it is to just end it.
right. I
Smart,
do.
the smart way, like you said.
Right, right. And that's where I'm not naive in thinking that if we were to pull, even if we were to have done it all the right way, that things may have gone, or would have been great for everybody left behind. It really wouldn't have. Um, do I think the Taliban could have possibly, or would have taken over the country? Yeah, probably. Um, but at the same time, it's not really our business. If you want to help, the ones that want to leave, bring them here. I promise you, they're going to be 10 times more of a freedom-loving individual than, I hate to say it, a lot of your neighbors.
Maybe if they're willing to run away, migrate to a new country to get away from a political regime they don't like that's going to be a totalitarian, a dictator. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, just like anybody coming from Cuba.
Yeah.
And to think that you're just letting all kinds of terrorists in by bringing in some refugees, no. You might have a couple people that they might not fly the red, white, and blue in front of their house, but the vast majority are going to be, I would say, great members of society.
Yeah, because the reason they would leave is, again, just because they want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what we were talking about with the COVID, I don't want the government, whether it's a dictator over in the Middle East or a dictator in America, meddling in my business. I just want to be left alone.
Right.
And if they have a better chance of doing that over here, I can't blame them for trying to get over.
No, me neither. I'd be neighbors with them. And I have heard some good stories coming out about it. I don't know if you follow Beck, but him and his people, they raised like $22 million in like 2 or 3 days. I think it was with it's called the Nazarene Fund or something like that. But they raised $23 million. Now it's primarily to help get Christians out of the Middle East because, they're going to get targeted and slaughtered by the Taliban. But I mean, that's $22 million in like 3 days. That's a miracle. Especially, we're not talking about like Tucker Carlson or another big name on one of the top 5 news channels. No, Beck is relatively small, and his channel is not what's the word I'm looking for? Right. It's something that everybody's seeing all the time. And I mean that's a really cool thing. And if you see, I think there's the Kurds are at the airport there in Kabul, and they're trying to help out too. It's, I don't know. The whole thing's really sad.
Yeah. Well,
but at some point you got to rip the Band-Aid off.
That's true. And it goes back to what we're all about doing things voluntarily. There's a bad situation in the Middle East. You don't have to have the state steal trillions of dollars from its citizens and send thousands of people to go die while slaughtering millions of others and solving nothing in order to do something about that. You can raise millions and millions of dollars voluntarily and get people out who want to leave. It can be as simple as that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just don't see it. That doesn't make it not true. Doesn't make it not real.
No. And it's, the whole thing's very frustrating because even I understand where some people are saying if they're not going to fight, why should we fight for them? And it's like it's hard to argue that logic. It's, I don't know. It's very hard to catch yourself debating yourself and trying to stay consistent on the topic.
But then that's good though, because that's how you really work things out. If you're just thinking the same way all the time, the same thoughts, that's bad.
Right.
But yeah, again, you don't, it doesn't have to be about fighting.
No.
You can just leave. There are alternatives. If you have the resources, which people over here have and are clearly willing to donate, the answer doesn't always have to be shooting someone or bombing something.
Right.
Even though that keeps the money moving in the military-industrial complex.
That's exactly what that does.
Usually not the best solution. It usually creates more problems than it solves.
I would actually be a lot more comfortable with having like a bunch of retired SEALs, Marines, whatever, going over and trying to help people get out And like if there's a situation where like if I was here at home and a neighbor was attacking my other neighbor, I'm gonna step in. I would be okay with that on a protecting the innocent level. Uh, that because to me would be a voluntary action on one individual to go help another individual, maybe not in a monetary way, but in a let me help defend you as you try to get out type situation. I think I could be all right with that, but nowhere near from a government standpoint.
No, no. And that kind of thing can be done,
It can be.
but it's difficult to do it while the government is already over there and has legitimate authority, meaning
Yes.
they'll shoot you if you don't do what they want you to.
How do you have legitimate authority in somebody else's backyard?
You have more
How?
guns. You have more
That's
guns,
it.
and they say it's legitimate.
And the bad part is, and this is really sad, especially for a lot of guys that were actually over there in that sandbox. We've lost that war. That war's lost. We lost it a long time ago. Don't get me wrong, but it's everybody's kind of coming to the conclusion of we lost, and that's a bitter pill to swallow for a
Yeah.
lot of
Especially
men
when
and
you're
women.
always told you're the best, world's best Air Force, greatest army on earth, and wow.
There's a reason why Afghanistan is known as the nation killer. I
Mm.
mean, 2 years after the Soviet Union left, it fell apart.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
I have kids, so I don't really want to wish anything like catastrophically bad. But
No.
God, can we just learn from one mistake for once?
Well, yeah, maybe it goes to the secession. You know, we'll
I'm
see.
so down, so down.
That's what happened with the Soviet Union. I think it just
Mhm.
kind of dissolved, and
Yep, fell apart.
the little states just became themselves again. So we'll see.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Hopefully, it's better news. I would just hate that we have gone this far. We've and like as a country accepted, we don't need to be there anymore. And then this happens, and it's their excuse to just.
Start it all again.
y-
Well, time will tell, like we said. But we know the best way,
True
voluntary
story.
action, and just got to try to get other people to see it.
Hmm. Spread the
Well,
message.
true. Thanks for talking, Justin. I got my wife's upstairs with the kids. I better go save her.
Yeah, go do that, bud.
But
Hey,
thanks
thanks for
so much.
having me on.
All right. I'll talk to you later, Justin. Have a
All
great
right, catch
weekend.
you later, man. You too.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what we do here, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and go over to our website where you can offer donations, request help, help us help people who are in need voluntarily. And we'll see you next time.